to the Faster Way to Fat Loss. I'm so glad that you guys are here and we have officially gotten started with the Faster Way. I know that sometimes it seems like a long time coming when you are planning to get started with something, and the day is here. We are getting going. So this week we are focusing on two main concepts: whole food nutrition and intermittent fasting. Now, this week, I really want you to focus only on those two things, and then also familiarizing yourself with our portal, so the Faster Way portal, and making sure that you have completed the new client assessment. That includes measurements, before photos, and the questions that are in that assessment. So please make sure that you have done all three. We are going to focus on those two big concepts as we go through the next week, okay? So let's talk first about intermittent fasting. The most common form of intermittent fasting is a 16-8 protocol. So what does that mean? The 16-8 protocol means that you are going to fast for 16 hours a day and eat all of your food, all of your macros, which we'll talk about next week, within that 8-hour period, okay? That 8 hours is up to you. You do not have to have the same 8 hours as I use or your friend uses or anything like that. It is completely up to you, but we try to keep it consistent. So the biggest part, I think the most common two time frames are 11 to 7 and 12 to 8, but I've had people who work in the operating room who do a 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and that works too. So there's no magic number that says, oh, I have to use this protocol or these hours, but it is important to keep it as consistent as possible so that you're really getting the benefits of the fasting. You can adapt it as needed. So like, let's say you're going on vacation and you know you're going to be eating dinner later. Absolutely fine to change it for the week. What I don't want you to do is change it every single day. Okay, so if it's for a whole week and you really want to continue making progress, perfect. Excellent way to do that. But try to keep it consistent from week to week. Some people can jump right in and be at a 16-8 protocol the very next day and no problems at all. Other people, it takes a little while to get used to this. And that's okay. Everybody is a little bit different with this. And what we want to do is make sure that you are doing what's best for you. So some people will start with a 12-hour fast and a 12-hour eating period, and then shorten it to 10-hour eating window, 14-hour fast, and then get to the 16-8 protocol. Other people do like every day, you pick a time that you're going to stop eating. Let's say it's tonight at 7 o'clock, you're going to stop eating, and tomorrow you're going to make it until 7 a.m. And if that's easy, the next day you go to 8 or 9. The following day, 9 or 10. So you see what I mean? Make this a gradual progression. Don't just jump right in, particularly if you know that you've struggled not eating in the past. Okay, so let's really work on making this so that you're doing the right thing for you. If you have issues with it, I've had people that it's taken overnight and they are good to go, and I've had others that it's 2 weeks, and we just work really slowly on every 3 days you increase, but everyone gets there. Okay, so no matter what, we will get you to it. It's just a matter of getting you slowly adapted if need be. During your fasting window, it is very important that you stay hydrated. So we want you consuming water. Hot teas are fine. We don't want a lot of sugar in your tea, so you could do like cold sweet tea, but make it unsweetened tea so that you're not getting more than 50 calories. And that's the goal, is to stay under 50 calories so you don't break your fast. The other thing we don't want you to have is fiber. Fiber, which is found in like leafy greens and some fruits and veggies, that will break your fast. So we really don't want you to have fiber or more than 50 calories. Now, I know some of you are saying, holy crap, what did I just sign up for? I have to have coffee in the morning. You may have your coffee. Absolutely fine. And you can actually have about 8 ounces worth of almond milk. Unsweetened vanilla almond milk has 35 calories for a whole cup. So 8 ounces of almond milk. So you could probably have 2 cups of coffee and use the almond milk if you need a creamer-based product in it. And then for sugar, we obviously don't want you to have sugar, but Sweet and Low and Splenda can cause a insulin spike, which would then break your fast. So we try to keep it to stevia as your sweetener of choice while you're on the fast away so that you don't break your fast. So that is a absolutely fine option to have while you are fasting. Now, probably some other questions about intermittent fasting. Make sure you comment below and we will make sure to get back to your questions and circle back around in a little while. The next topic that we really want to cover is whole food nutrition. Very important that we stick to as limited processed foods. Let me say that again. We don't want to eat processed foods. We try to stick to things that are natural, that have the fewest number of ingredients. And a good guide is if it comes from the ground. So we're talking fruits, veggies, nuts, rice, oatmeal, or oats to make oatmeal, quinoa, grain, things like that, all fine to have. When we talk, and then the other guide is if it has a mother. So that's really lean proteins. And that's what we want to focus on. Those two big things. If it passes those two qualities, you may have it. And that is probably the trickiest thing, is figuring out what foods. So rely on the Food Finds group that we have. Rely on the meal plan. There's a couple of different things that you can go to for good food ideas. There's also great lists that will be posted in both our group and in the portal. So you have unlimited resources on what you can and cannot eat. So the meal plan makes it super easy because you can just follow the meal plan and you will be going with whole food nutrition. However, if you say, I really want to incorporate some other foods, that is fine too. We will work on using those other resources to pick foods. Now, we want the bulk of your food to be from whole foods. Now, there's going to be some things that are a little processed. We just want it to, if you look at the ingredients, it should be things that you understand and can read. If you can't understand what it is, it's probably not the best choice. And throughout this whole thing, you've heard me say it once and you'll hear me say it again, progress over perfection. So do the best that you can and stick to whole foods when you can. We really want, the most natural form of foods is the best thing. So we limit these processed foods because we don't want inflammation in our body. More processed foods lead to more inflammation. So if we limit the amount of processed foods, then we can ultimately decrease the amount of inflammation in our body. We also find that if you go gluten and dairy free while you are on the Fast Away program, at least in the short term, that would be best. Okay, so there are so many options out there these days for gluten-free and dairy-free options. We were talking about almond milk earlier. Coconut milk is fine for dairy-free. They have dairy-free cheese now. It's actually pretty good. The Daya brand is a great one. Then gluten-free, Trader Joe's makes a gluten-free bread that's good. There's a brand called Be Free that makes pita pockets and wraps. I mean, there's really unlimited options for things yes, those are more processed, but if we are weaning back and making better choices and then weaning them out, that's going to help as well. So do the best that you can. Find those gluten-free options. If you are just stuck and need a sandwich, get a gluten-free bread and eat a sandwich for a carb day, a regular macro day. We'll talk about the eating cycle in weeks to come, but progress over perfection, okay? We really want you to be dairy-free and gluten-free because foods like that are very genetically modified, and we find that people may not have a true allergy for these foods, but they actually are sensitive to them. So, for instance, myself, I've never been told I have a gluten allergy. In fact, in allergy testing, I was not gluten positive for a true allergy, but I have felt so much better cutting gluten out of my diet and keeping it out. Now, dairy was not the same for me. I was able to bring back in dairy and not have an issue, but I waited 2 rounds to bring back any dairy at all. Now, some people in my groups have brought it back at 3 or 4 weeks and have not had any issues. So it's not a deal breaker if you bring it back in a couple weeks, but I would really try to cut these things out in the immediate or the present time right now as we get into whole food nutrition. Now, what I don't want you to do is go pick something that is lactose free that still has milk proteins in it. It's just missing one of the, it's the way it's labeled. So it is lactose free, but it still has casein in it and other things. So we don't want you to choose those products. I'd rather you choose a coconut milk, an almond milk, something like that, that is truly dairy free. So that's going to be the best option for you. What I really want you to do is focus on progress. I know that's a whole lot of information at one time, but we are going to focus on progress, not perfection, and focus on weaning these things out this week. Choose whole foods so that you are really choosing the best options, getting those foods in that are going to fuel your body properly, and weaning what you can out. I know there are going to be questions about the dairy and gluten and whatnot. Let me know what questions you have, or if you need some help with products. The Food Finds group is excellent for that, or reach out, absolutely fine to let me know. The last thing I want to talk about is non-scale victories. So every week you're going to see a post about non-scale victories, and this is so important of a mindset that we have in the Faster Way. There are technically no foods that are off limits, definitely not off limits forever. I know I just told you gluten and dairy, but on Saturdays, if your treat is a donut, then your treat is a donut. Because we're focusing on progress and we're not depriving ourselves and we're making the best choices, but we're also going to enjoy those treats on leg days, which you'll see coming up, and not necessarily say you can't have something. Because as soon as I tell you can't have something, that's all you're going to want. So we really want you to just focus on progress. And that's the biggest thing. Progress in this is huge. Again, non-scale victories, you're going to see posts every Friday, and I want to hear these non-scale victories. I want to hear that your sleep is better, that you are, your digestion, your digestive tract is better. I don't need details, but you know what I mean. You have less bloating, your stomach feels better, you have more energy, you're focusing better at work, you're getting your workouts in. All of these are examples of non-scale victories. You hit your macronutrient goals as we get further into the program. You drank half your body weight in water. Super important to stay hydrated. That's a goal. I mean, let's face it, that's not the easiest thing to do on a daily basis when we're all so busy. So, and then, committing to whole foods. Hey, I ate all whole foods today. I I eliminated all the processed foods. That's a big goal for some of us. So I want to hear these victories. You can tell them to me every day, it'd be amazing. But, the things like my pants are fitting better, my clothes are fitting, all of those things, huge victories. And those are the things we want to focus on. So as we get into this week, we're going to practice intermittent fasting. We're going to stick to whole food nutrition. We're going to start weaning out all of these extra foods and processed foods. We're going to limit and try to eliminate gluten and dairy from our diet. While we're fasting, we're going to stick to teas and water preferentially, coffee with almond milk and stevia, and we are going to focus on the non-scale victories. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Comment below with any questions that you have. Check out the Food Finds group if you need some help with extra snacks and whatnot. And then don't forget about the meal plan. That's a great resource and has some great recipes. They're easy, they're quick. So make sure you're checking out those resources. Have an excellent day. I can't wait to hear you in the group.